Sup, nerds? Welcome to episode 13 of Powerful, a power metal podcast. It's your boys ZF
and Larry. And this time we are talking to band members of Helion Prime, Jason Ashcraft and Sozos Michael, about their upcoming album, Terror of the Cybernetic Space Monster.
Yep, it's pretty sick. We're talking about the new album, recording with a new singer in a completely different part of the world, and sci-fi, all kinds of crazy stuff.
And without further ado, let's get to the interview and the sweet riff, jingle riff.
Intro!
How's it going, everybody? This is Jason Ashcraft from Helion Prime. I am the founder, primary songwriter, and rhythm guitarist.
All right.
Is that enough?
Yeah, that's perfect.
That's perfect.
Who's the other guy we have in this call? Who are you?
So, hey guys, this is Sozos Michael. I'm the lead vocalist of Helion Prime and the lyricist for the new album.
Welcome.
Perfect.
Nice to have you here, guys.
Thank you.
So we want to start this by saying that we really like your band. We like your music.
We sure do.
I'm glad.
Yeah, we wouldn't have called you here if we didn't like your music, right?
Right.
That makes sense. Yeah.
So we're glad to have you two here, Jason and Sozos. And for the people who don't know, or maybe you noticed, but Sozos is not from the US as Jason. He is from Cyprus.
Cyprus,
right?
Yep.
Cyprus. I always forget how to say it in English.
How do you say it in Spanish?
Chipre.
Cheap. Okay.
Something like that.
Yeah.
What's the native language there? This is gonna be a geography podcast suddenly. Surprise.
Oh yeah. Well, it's Greek. We speak Greek.
Oh, great. That's cool.
It's very close to Greece.
Yeah, it is. I had to actually Google map it because I wasn't sure where Cyprus was.
I thought it was part of Greece until Sozos told me otherwise.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. It's independent.
So what's it like being in a international band? Like, how do you all communicate and plan and record? How do you handle all that?
Well, thankfully, with today's technology, it's pretty simple. And, there was definitely something we considered when Sozos put it in his audition. But for me, it's something I'm willing to work out. It's just all about planning. So, when we did the music videos and photo shoots, we basically just had them come out for a week and we just knocked everything out that week. We had one thing a day to do. But, we did 2 photo shoots, 2 videos. So basically we're covered on those until the next album. And then as far as any kind of touring or festivals, it's just all about planning. We don't really do small local shows anymore. So
yeah.
Just communication, really.
Yeah. That's a lot of hard work, just putting everything, making all that stuff in just 1 week, just to make sure you can
It is.
get out.
Yeah, but I don't know. I'd rather have it this way than working with people who aren't as passionate about it as I am.
Yeah.
So
Totally.
For a
Yeah, it's
while
all about
now.
finding a good fit, right? Especially with band members who you'll be spending
Exactly.
a lot of time with. Especially for something like a creative process,
yeah. So for me, location isn't important. It's more, do you believe in what we're doing, sort of, I don't really care where you live because with proper planning, we can make anything happen,
Yeah.
Yeah. How about that one-off show or festival that you guys did in Vancouver? Was it Vancouver? Somewhere in Canada. Yeah, was that planned in your week-long extravaganza?
No, we got offered the show through the promoter.
Oh, wow.
That was just one of the many, cool things. Because again, we told them all right, we'll do it. And they helped cover flight expenses and everything like that. So,
Oh, that's so awesome.
yeah, again, with proper planning, it's, no problem. I felt bad for Sozos. I think he had a 60-hour round trip.
Oh
my
yeah, it
goodness.
was brutal. I was in Canada less time than I was flying. It was insane.
Wow.
Brutal.
Yeah, 36 hours to go and 36 to come back.
Oh my goodness.
And I stayed in Vancouver for like 36 hours.
Damn.
Wow.
Which is crazy because you can fly to Europe in like 13 hours or something, but for some reason, I guess because of where you live, you have to do a lot of crazy layovers.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's no direct flights from where I live.
That's a bummer.
Oh, well.
Yeah. Well, I mean, ideally with the kind of music we play and the kind of market we play to, hopefully things will pick up and we'll just start coming to you anyways. So
Yeah.
I hope so.
Hopefully.
Europe is the place to go,
Europe, and one day you have to come to South America, make all the big cities, like every big metal band.
Exactly. That's the thing. Like, we got a pretty lucky start with AFM, but I feel like we're still sort of a band. Like, we're still paying our dues. We're still, we're still fairly small on the spectrum when you look at things. So I think we got a pretty good head start with AFM, but we still have a long ways to go.
Yeah, because you got signed recently. Given your
it's been this October will I think be like 2 years, but we put out that first album, and with it being out for just about a year, AFM signed us. So again, we weren't really a functioning band for even a year.
Right.
And then then of course before they even signed us, Heather had already left the band, so of course I had to tell them that because they would have found out one way or another.
Yeah.
How did they handle that you told them your old vocalist had left?
They were actually really cool with it. So because again, like I told them right away, so I was like, well, they're going to find out. And if it's a deal breaker, it's a deal breaker. So I told them right away. And at first they kind of were like, all right, well, take some time. If you guys find a new singer and you have a new album prepared, hit us back up and we'll talk. So I was kind of bummed, like, oh man, there went a dream. There went a goal gone. And then a week later, the A&R rep hit us back up and he's like, hey, good news. I convinced the CEO to sign you guys without a singer. I was like, oh shit. Okay.
Wow. That means that speaks about your product, like about your music. Like they really liked it and they really believe that you could still deliver.
They believed in you. That's so awesome.
Right? So I think with the second album is pretty strong. So hopefully now that we have, a solid lineup, I'm hoping, because we had a strong momentum going.
Oh yeah, totally. You guys even like toured with Judicator and just a little West Coast thing.
Right. And then it kind of dwindled because of the situation, but
yeah,
I feel like we have a very strong lineup now, so I'm hoping we can just get that momentum back and keep it going,
Yeah.
Awesome.
So I want to know about the new album. Is it a concept album, or like what is the theme of this new album?
So I feel like there's kind of a theme, but it wasn't on purpose. So it's funny because I originally wanted to sort of stay in a similar style as the first album because obviously it did well. I didn't want to repeat myself or repeat what we did, but I guess I could say play it safe a little bit, Okay. But honestly, when you hear the album, it definitely did not turn out that way. It's very different. So that could be either really good or really bad, depending on who's listening. But, when Sozos and I started working on the lyrics and I'd throw my ideas, we'd brainstorm some things. And there's a general theme of sort of the human species as a whole, just our ups and downs. But again, that was not planned.
Okay.
But as I was looking at the songs we were writing, I was like, oh, I see a reoccurring pattern here of themes. So even like Silent Skies, the single we put out, that's sort of like a little concept story.
Yeah.
That him and I kind of went back and forth with. And the idea with it is, it's, I'm sure it's not the first time something like this has been told, but it's basically our little science fiction story of how the human race was once part of a bigger sort of, I don't know what the right word would be, not empire, but part of a bigger galactic sort of collection of species. But we proved that
like Federation.
Yeah, there you go. That's the word I was looking for. But we kind of proved that we were sort of not worthy in our actions. So we were essentially banished to Earth. this was like our punishment was to be isolated on this planet far away from anything until we can prove ourselves worthy again.
Wow, that's pretty gnarly.
Yeah, I like it. And, the lyrics Sozos wrote were just perfect for it. So, and then we have the song The Human Condition, which sort of dabbles on the same themes, but in a more scientific approach. What else do we got? And then Spectrum.
Yeah.
That's actually inspired by autism. So it's more of like a kind of autism awareness piece, but again, still kind of dealing with human nature. So again, just looking at all these, and even like, with the closing track, the Terror of the Cybernetic Space Monster. I mean, that whole thing is about a scientist gone mad trying to create the ultimate being, and he ends up, causing all this destruction. So, there's this theme that was definitely not intentional.
We basically tried to combine the science fiction of the first album with more of a human element. So there's much more, I guess, feelings coming through the lyrics. At least, like most of the lyrics are from the point of view of a human, whereas in the previous album, I think many of the songs it was like from more abstract perspective, I guess.
I can agree with that.
That's a really interesting perspective. That's cool.
Yeah, it's like I kind of liked it because the album took a theme of its own, like I said, just completely unplanned. That's just kind of the way it went. So I've noticed, like, I always try to like, all right, I'm going to write this way, and it just never works out. So I kind of let whatever happens. And I know someone complained about this on the first album, and I even read a review where someone brought it up on this album, and I don't know if they necessarily complained, but they kind of point out that musically it's sort of all over the place. Like, 1 minute it'll be this style, 1 minute it'll be that style. I know one guy, I read a review where he was kind of dogging us for it, but really I don't do that on purpose. Again, it's just like wherever it takes me, like, I don't claim to be the greatest songwriter. So as I'm writing, I just kind of go in the direction it's going. So whatever it turns out being is what it is. I'm not thinking like it's got to be this, So
that's great. And I think a lot of people actually like stylistic changes within an album, so it might just be, preferences. Yeah.
It's one reason I love Devin Townsend so much.
Oh yeah, you don't really adhere to a specific genre.
Right? Like, I mean,
sure.
The guy can go from a Def Leppard rock ballad to an insane tech death song, so.
Right. That's awesome.
So, like you mentioned before, you guys collaborated in the lyrics for this new album. And I wanted to know, how was it? How did it feel like, Sozos, you joined quite recently the band. And how was it like, okay, I got this part singing in this band, and suddenly, okay, we have to write and record a full album, like now. So how was that?
Jason, want to go?
So this is kind of how it went. So when Sozos had joined, we were already, like, I believe, in the process of tracking the album, and I wanted to get the album out because it had been almost 2 years since the first one, and I was ready to get something out. So I told Sozos that I'd be handling the lyrics just because of time and everything like that. But it was actually The Human Condition, and he's like, oh man, that's such a bummer. He's like, I can really hear something cool over this song. And my thing is I didn't want to like be working on lyrics, and then here we go 3 months later and we're still working on lyrics. But he sent me I was like, all right, well, I was like, send me what you're thinking. He sent me his ideas for Human Condition, and it just like blew my mind. I was like, all right, dude, do it. Like, write the lyrics. And, he produced them really fast and really, really well. And Human Condition's actually still my favorite song off the new album.
Yeah, mine too.
musically and lyrically. Like, I personally think the chorus that Sozos wrote on that is fantastic. So,
yeah.
Nice.
I was often writing lyrics as I was recording. Like I had ideas of like where the vocals went melodically, and I had no idea what the lyrics were. But like I tried to come up with something at that point that fit within the theme of the song, and I often did that. Just wrote the song as it went along. I don't think this is like orthodox or anything, but it worked, at least for Human Condition. I think it worked pretty well with the pre-existing music, because that's the thing. Everything was recorded by the band already. Like all they needed was vocals on top of the songs, with a few exceptions. So I had to just listen to them and think of melodies and write the lyrics and record, and that happened really quickly, song after song.
I think Sozos and we've already basically laid down an outline for the third album, and we were going to start working on it a while ago, but there's just a lot going on, especially with the tour that we just announced, that we thought it'd be best to just wait so we can like focus 100%. But I think showing what him and I did together with the conditions we had, I think if him and I actually get to sit down and put 100% focus, I think it's going to be even better the third time around. I guess it's the second time for us. So
yeah, you guys moved ridiculously fast. Oh my gosh, you're already thinking about what's coming up ahead.
Oh, dude, I'm 5 albums in my head. I'm 5 albums in. So
yeah. Jason's on fire.
I'm just, like I said, I want to keep that momentum going, you know?
Yeah.
Like taking into account that you are not active only in this band, you're doing a lot of stuff, dude.
Right.
So it was great. I remember that the audition for the band for vocalist involved like, here's the track and you have to make your own melody and your own lyrics if you want.
That's kind of a hard audition. Oh my gosh. So you're testing not only the vocalist abilities, but their like lyric writing.
Well, here's why I did that, because I feel like, sure, I can come up with, good themes for the songs and I know where I want them to go, but I can't write vocal melodies to save my life. So,
oh, okay.
I'm not,
got it.
I'm not knocking the fact that we probably wouldn't be where we were if it wasn't for the vocal melodies that Heather produced on the first album. Like, yes, it was sort of the same thing where it's like, hey, I wrote this song. It's about this. This is kind of the feeling I want. And we go through it together. But initially the vocal melodies are hers. Right. And so for me, it was the thing of, all right, not only do I need a good singer, I need a good songwriter, because, I can fully admit that I can't take on both as strongly on my own. And so for me, that was kind of my way of like, sure, we could get someone who can sing Life Finds a Way perfect, but then, what can they write, So that was sort of my way of seeing like, all right, what can you do on your own? For me, that's what sold Sozos for me, is his take of Remnants was just killer. So, I mean, his Life Finds a Way was awesome too, but hearing the lyrics, because like he did things that I wanted in that song originally that never made it, and the fact that I didn't have to tell him, he just did it. I was like, this guy gets it.
Yeah.
So,
oh man, y'all have synchronized brain waves.
Exactly. So
yes.
It was funny because when I got the audition, I was like brushing my teeth and I was just watching it real quick, and I just like
like, who is this guy?
yeah, I was just like, okay, cool, yeah. And I'm like, wait a second, this guy's actually badass. So I think I wrote him like immediately. Yeah.
With the toothbrush still in your face.
Exactly. Yep.
That is so cool. Yeah, it's good that you kind of like know that about your songwriting, that you need somebody to be able to do vocal melodies.
Yeah, because again, like I know what I want in my head, but
Yeah.
I can't, when it comes to the vocal melodies, it's like, all right, dude, I know this part, I need it to be like this and and whatever, but I can't do it, so
Yeah,
some guys can do both, but unfortunately
sure.
I cannot. Not as well as like Sozos, not where I'd want to be. Like maybe I could do something that sounds okay, but if I actually wrote the lyrics for the new album, I guarantee you they would not sound nearly as good as they turned out to sound.
Oh, I'm so excited to hear the new album. Good job, Sozos.
Yeah, thanks. Well, I guess it's whatever each of us focuses on, that's where his strong point in songwriting is, I guess. Because I don't focus on riffs. I can play the guitar. I can play riffs, but I can't write like great riffs like in the Helion Prime last album or this album. I mean, I can't write that. But because I'm almost on the lookout of vocal melodies and hooks and like the vocal work of power metal bands, I mean, I can get ideas from that and make something of my own. But yeah, I can't write riffs for shit.
See, so we balance each other out.
Yes,
Yeah,
you guys
great.
are a team.
Yeah.
Yay. Teamwork.
This podcast just turned into Sozos and I boosting each other's egos. Yay.
Oh, no, that's okay.
Yeah, dude, you're awesome.
Oh.
It's like a big group hug. I think we all need that.
Yeah.
Right.
You know? Yeah, as humans, we're social creatures. We like group hugs.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I want to know about your Patreon and that kind of business. So why did you all decide to open up a Patreon / podcasting? Like, where are you planning to go with that whole aspect?
Well, so with the Patreon, it's still very new and we're kind of figuring it out. Like we had talked about it for a while, and we know that when you do something like that, like you got to kind of make it worth the while. And
Yeah.
so we're filling it out, and the goal is to, see what works, see what doesn't work, see how we can make it better. The thing with the podcast is something I was going to do either way, but I figured it could just integrate into that because I actually recently got into podcasts, maybe at the beginning of this year. I was driving home from Utah, actually, and I was talking to my buddy John Yellen, adjudicator.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I need something to listen to on the way home because on it's like a 9-hour drive. And honestly, on drives like that, I don't really like to listen to music because, I may bury my name here, but there's only so many guitar solos I can listen to before I'm just like, okay, I need a break, So sometimes I'll do like audiobooks, but he's like, oh, dude, listen to some podcasts. So I listened to the Joe Rogan and James Hetfield podcast, and I just thought it was awesome because it felt like more than just an interview. Like I learned so much about James Hetfield other than like, so let's talk about Metallica. Like that dude has a bee farm.
Yeah, totally.
And for an hour they talked about bees, and I never thought I'd be so interested in bees,
That is so funny.
Yeah.
He's a bee farmer. That's so wild.
Dude. Yeah. So it just turned me on to podcasts, and I was like, man, that'd be fun to just get people on that, I'm either influenced by or I admire, or just people, just whoever, and just chat for an hour,
Yeah, I think I agree with you on the long drives or tedious tasks and podcasting. I think it's nice having someone talk at you. It's like a one-way conversation. It kind of keeps you awake more than music does.
I agree.
At least for me, it does. Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And then the main thing with the Patreon for me, though, is, it's great we're on AFM, but people don't realize that being on a major label does not suddenly mean you get a lot of money. If anything, we make less money now than we did.
Oh, because royalties?
Well, that and just like, we're now, album sales goes to the label instead of directly to us.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's fine. I mean, it's the business, and AFM does a lot for us that we could not do for ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
But, one thing I keep in mind is, I'm about to put all the blame on Sozos here, but we now have a singer in Cyprus. So anytime we do something, our expenses have gone up quite a bit. So my personal goal with this is that we can make some kind of, self-sustaining economy within Helion Prime.
Yeah.
That when we get tour offers, we have money stashed away where it's like, hey, we're going to do this tour. What do you guys need to make this happen? How much money? Because, taking time off work for tours, it's not easy. We
definitely.
We still have bills that need to be paid at the end of the day. So I'm hoping with this, it's a matter of, all right, so for this tour, we'll make this much, but we still need this, and we need flights that we got to pay for, or someone needs to take home something. So for me, the goal with Patreon is to be able to sustain ourselves so we can actually tour, because touring is not easy and it's not cheap.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, I've heard of other bands like do the whole Patreon model in order to, be able to tour more as well. And I think it's a new idea that's come out within the past few years.
Right.
But I think it's still new, so we'll give it a try.
Mm-hmm.
I like it, and some bands are doing really well with it. But again, it's just a matter, some things some of the bands offer are really cool perks, but it's like things that you all need to be there for. So unfortunately, we're kind of limited again in what we can do.
Yeah.
You can send out stickers.
$10 a month for a sticker. No.
Stickers.
Everyone likes stickers.
Even if you
don't know it. Yeah. But so for me, that's the ultimate goal. Cause, like we're doing this 5-week Archer tour, and that was very hard for some people. And I'm actually, paying a lot out of pocket to make it happen. Mm-hmm. But that's something we can't always do.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd like to be in a financial state where it's like, all right, how much do you need to make this happen? And hopefully with stuff like Patreon, we just have that stored away.
Yeah.
So we're not killing ourselves trying to play music,
Of course.
Yeah. We just want to have a good time.
We just want to play music.
Yeah, that's all.
Yeah.
That's great. Let's hope that it does work out sooner or later.
And then we can come to South America.
Yeah. You have to do all the big cities. You go to Brazil, then Buenos Aires, then Santiago, etc. So I can go.
Do you know Valinor Excelsior?
I'm not
from
familiar.
Colombia. Oh, okay.
No, but
I just toured with those guys with Dire Apparel. They were really cool. Really nice guys.
I'll take a note and look for them. I want to know, Jason, you're a big sci-fi fan.
Yes.
I assume you have at least one wall worth of movies or something like that. Like, how big is your collection?
Well, my physical collection is not very big because I'm poor. But I do have a handful of like personal favorites that it's like I have to own this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So my all-time, so I have what I consider 2 all-time favorite movies because it's just almost impossible for me to choose between both of them, which is, 2001: A Space Odyssey, and then actually Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. So I know that's a newer one, but to me, it's one of the greatest movies I've ever seen. Oh. And then, I own almost every Godzilla film. So
great.
I want to know about the dinosaur that's on all your. That's I guess all meaning 2 album covers.
Okay.
Tell me about the dinosaur.
So the dinosaur is an interesting story because it was pure accident, and now it's become our mascot. Because every band's got to have a mascot, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
So when we were doing the first album, the dinosaur's name is Sabot, and I'll get into that in a second.
Sabot.
When we were doing the album cover, there was originally going to be no dinosaur. I wanted, the classic sort of sci-fi vibe. It's something I've always wanted to do, and it's something I always wanted to do with my older band, and it just never happened. So when I started Helion Prime, I was like, damn it, I'm going to do the classic sci-fi art. So like, it's something I've always wanted to do. And when I was working with the artist, we were sending ideas back and forth. And at the last minute, I was like, you know what? If you can throw in a dinosaur, go for it. And I was thinking like in the background or something.
That is so funny.
And
Put it
so
in middle center.
yeah, exactly. So he sends it back and it's just right there. And I was like, oh, well, that's awesome.
Well, that's happening.
Yep.
Oh my god, your debut album cover is so awesome. I think our little subreddit might have voted it for one of our favorites.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm so glad we did it because you'd be, so many people were like, yep.
It's so memorable.
Oh yeah. They're like, dude, I saw the album cover and I had to check you guys out. So
yeah.
I'm glad my last minute instinct, paid off.
Definitely.
So then of course I was like, well, I was like, I guess, I'm just going to keep using this guy. And so he just kind of became the mascot. And then where the name came from is a friend of mine randomly hit me up one day, and I still don't know why, but she was like, what is your dog's name spelled backwards? And I was like, okay, weird question, but so
was he high?
I have no idea. So I typed it out and it was Sabot.
What is your dog?
My dog's name is Tobias.
Oh my god. Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't realize Toby was shorthand.
Yeah, Toby's shorthand. And he's actually named after Tobias Sammet from Edguy.
Oh my gosh. Does Tobias Sammet know this?
I'm hoping someday he'll find out.
He might be listening.
Okay.
Yeah, right.
All right. We will make sure that he knows this.
You guys have any connections with Toby?
If anyone listening has connections with Tobias Sammet, you need to let him know this.
Yeah. Edguy used to be on AFM, and I keep trying to tell them like, hey, how about you hook him up for some guest vocals there, buddy?
Yes.
But from what I've heard, he's actually really hard to get a hold of, even for AFM. Like, they've been trying to email him for something, and they're like, he
wow,
never responds. So I don't know. Who knows? But anyways, so I was like, oh, Sabot, that's got bot in it. There you go. That's the mascot's name. So
that's awesome.
So has anyone completed the first album and listened to the hidden track?
Yeah, at the very end, there's the dog barking.
Yeah, so that's Toby.
Is that it? Yeah.
We recorded it as a little hidden message, and that's him transforming into the dinosaur.
And then the dinosaur growls. Yeah, I was very confused every time the album ended.
So that's what that is.
There's a dog barking, and then it's like roar.
Yeah, so that is alluding to Sabot.
Right, makes sense.
And where the name comes from. So
is Sabot going to appear on all 5 of your planned albums?
Oh yeah.
Oh my goodness.
For the time being, he's our Eddie. So as far as I'm concerned, any art piece we do, he'll be there.
All right.
Yeah.
And we got 2 songs in the new album that's Cybot's story.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool.
So what we did, which I think is kind of cool. So the closing track is sort of like the story we created for Sabot, and give a little more insight behind him. But then what's also cool that we did is the first track, A King is Born, is like a prequel to the closing epic of how Sabot was created. Right. So because what happened is Alex, our drummer, actually came up with that idea, but to try to fit it into the closing song, I was like, well, now we're creating a whole new story and we're taking away from the story that this song's supposed to be. But what people are going to know when they hear this album, the intro song, A King is Born, is actually Remnants of Stars, just redone. We've changed, we've completely changed the lyrics, and we've changed some of the music a little bit. And so the reason I did that is the Remnants of Stars was originally supposed to be on the album, but I really wanted it to be its own thing. So we just completely changed it. And so when we needed a new lyrical theme, I was like, well, let's use Alex's idea and we'll make this like a prequel. So again, kind of closing the album or circling the album together,
Yeah. Well, that's nice. That's nice. And being able to rework a song like that, that's cool, man. It's really cool.
Yeah. So I guess there's now technically 3 versions of Remnants out there, because we have the single version, the Sozos version, and now A King is Born. So
That's badass.
yeah.
I think it's cool to hear multiple versions of songs. I'm really looking forward to it.
I like it too. Like when Blind Guardian did Fly and Dead Sound of Misery.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was cool.
I didn't know they were the same song, and I was like, these sound really similar. Oh
Yeah,
wait, Dead Sound of Misery is an old version. I get it.
Well, and Dead Sound's in a different key too. But
yeah.
It's
I think I like Dead Sound of Misery more. There's parts.
Yeah.
It's a little darker tone, and I don't know. I think I enjoy it more. Yeah.
Yeah, Hansi sounds smoother in that one.
Agreed.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah. So kind of something like that, I guess, you know? So
Very cool.
and then we did some other stuff that I think I actually can't say even even when this comes
Ooh.
out.
Mysterious.
I know. But it will eventually see the light of day. But for now I can't say. But just know there's more out there that we did.
Okay.
That didn't make it on the album. So
Nice.
yeah. There was gonna be a vinyl print too, but the label said the album's too long, so sorry.
Yeah. The limitations of an old format.
Yeah. I don't think we're not at the level yet of, doing double vinyls.
Yeah.
So we gotta earn that.
Double vinyls.
You have to go just a bit longer just to make it work.
Yeah. Exactly. So
Great.
yeah. But I'm excited for the album. Like I said, it's different for sure, but I think it's obviously still got the Helion Prime sound,
Oh yeah, it definitely does. And yeah, I can't wait to hear all the stylistic changes between the tracks.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so what are any upcoming plans that you guys have with the band? Like I know y'all have a tour in North America coming up.
Yeah. So the set in stone plans are that tour. And then once that's done, I want Sozos and I to start writing the next album with no distractions. So we might
hear that, Sozos? You're gonna be put to work.
Oh, I know.
Oh, he knows. Actually, he's already been sending me some cool like guitar ideas.
Ooh.
I just unfortunately, like, my original plan was I wanted to write the album before this one was out, and I wanted to be like ahead of the game, and I tried to do it, but it was like trying to focus on that and then focus on the tour, and then my other band's doing something. I was like, you know what, dude, if I did this, the album would like be subpar at best because I'm not giving it 100% focus.
Yeah,
so
that makes sense.
I decided like, okay, because we could probably work just as fast if we're not focusing on anything else. So,
Of course.
so I figured do the tour, get that over with, kind of unwind from that, and then just dive. Like I said, we already have an outline. We already know where we're going. I think we have a pretty cool. So this one will be a themed album, and I think we have a really cool theme. But that I cannot tell you. So
okay.
Yeah. But I think it's going to be good, and I think because again, this album, even though I'm very proud of it, there was that period during writing it where there was a lot of stress going on, with singer situations and then personal things. But I think for the situation and circumstances, I think we put out a really good album. But I think Sozos and I can do way better given the proper like time and dedication. So I think our third album, is going to be a huge step up. At least that's the plan. Who knows? It's always it never work out as you think, but that's the plan. So
all right, I hope so.
Okay, yeah. So the plans for Prime: do this tour, do that album. For me personally, I'd love to find us some decent management or a booking agent. That's one of the things we still don't have.
So you do all the bookings yourself?
Yeah, I mean, with this Unleash the Archers tour, I just happen to be really good friends with Brittany.
Yeah.
So she got us on the tour, but it's sort of like,
oh, that's so cool.
It's great having the label, but to get to that next level of getting on the festivals and getting actual tours, whether it's our own or with other bands. Like we need that sort of, next level of help that we currently don't have. But unfortunately, it's like, I don't even know where to begin looking. So what I was actually going to do is kind of compile a list of people maybe and see if the label can kind of help us reach out to some people,
Oh, yeah. Networking is really important.
Exactly. So, because that's, I feel, kind of the next thing we need again. But with that said, I would love to, if by chance, maybe get Prime on some summer festivals somehow. But I feel like for like next year. But
yeah,
like that's something we'd have to start now.
Yeah. They have to plan like a year in advance for those.
Yeah, because they already released
They've already booked a bunch of people for like Vakken. I just saw 2019 announcements.
Yeah, and Broke Power is already set up all the lineup for next year as well.
For 2019. Yeah, that's already been set up.
Prog Power is already, because they announced the next year's lineup.
Yeah, they announced at the show. Yeah.
Exactly. So for stuff so it's like, again, that's my thing is we need that guy on the inside, because I never know, who do I talk to? What do I, you know what I mean? So
yeah,
that's that's what I'll be working on here. Actually, I might even start today, now that we're talking about it. Yeah.
Damn.
It's never late
to
start.
Man. Never. But
always hustling.
You got to. But see, that's the thing is, because again, if we want to keep that momentum going, that's what we got to do. So, but for now, I think the biggest focus for us will be the next album, because, I'm excited about it. I'm excited about this one. I think that's the thing. That's the curse of being a musician, though, is, we're already planning the third album and the second one's not even out yet. So,
yeah.
But it will be by the time this podcast is released.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
So if you're listening now, you can probably go and listen to the album.
Yeah.
That, like you should finish listening the episode. Don't stop it, but then go and listen to the album.
Yeah. Good plan. So, but yeah, for the album, we have one more single. But again, if you're listening to this podcast, you've probably already heard it. So.
And I hope you liked it, and I hope I liked it.
Yeah.
Hello, future me, or who am I talking to?
Yeah,
the future or the past?
Well,
oh yeah. But the next one won't be a music video, but we're doing a lyric video for it that I think is going to be really cool. So
cool.
Nice.
It'll be exciting. It'll be the fastest one so far of the 3 singles.
What?
I could
it's
say
even
that.
Faster?
Yeah.
Nice.
It's faster than Spectrum. So
Oh, wow.
I mean,
so fast.
Many things are faster than Spectrum. So.
Yeah, like turtles.
It's not that slow.
No, it isn't. There's still like pretty awesome guitar riffs in it. Yeah. I really like the drums in Spectrum, by the way.
Cool. I'll let Alex know. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's quite proud of that song, actually, drum-wise.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, no, I was like, this is really cool. I didn't expect you guys to make a song like that.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think the biggest disappointment for me on that one is the message definitely seems lost to the public. It seems not.
Oh, that's it's about autism spectrum?
Yeah, like, I've seen some comments like, since when does Helion Prime write emo rock ballads? And I'm like, okay, you clearly...
Oh my goodness.
You clearly missed the message here, buddy. But okay.
I think it's because we were all thinking of like the giant space dinosaur and like a sci-fi theme, and then we're like, light spectrum.
Yeah, right. It could be that.
Yeah. But it's funny, like Chad pointed out a comment where someone, again, they're like, someone was like defending it, and some guys like, yeah, well, since when do they write ballads? The first album didn't have a ballad, and we're like, actually, yes, it did. Yeah,
it did. Yeah. And ballads are awesome.
Right?
Like we had a conversation about ballads just casually. Like a lot of the popular rock and metal bands, their most popular stuff is ballads, like Metallica and
here's the
Guns
thing
N'
too.
Roses.
Like, here's the thing with Spectrum. I mean, there's no guitar solo. It's definitely a little more radio friendly. Like, I'm not gonna lie, that wasn't an accident. Like,
okay.
it was definitely There was some thought behind, all right, let's make this song a little more friendly to the ears. And, some people may take issue with that, but again, you got to kind of work it sometimes. And, when you're trying to branch out to a wider audience, it's a little more easy for people to kind of fall into a song like that than a full on power metal piece,
Yeah, and it works because as of now, at the time of recording, Spectrum has surpassed the previous single by 10,000 views, and it's only been
serious?
a week.
Yeah, it's only been out a week.
No way. That's freaking incredible.
So there was definitely a strategy behind it where, so it's kind of it's funny because the insults people are saying is kind of you're not wrong. I definitely had a conscious decision. The song even originally had a guitar solo section, and I took it out purposely. I was like, nah, we're going to make this a more straightforward kind of just, easy listening,
Yeah, but it still had a heaviness to it that I actually enjoyed. I think it was the drums. Shout outs to your drummer.
Good job, Alex.
Good job, Alex.
Good job. Yay.
But
hugs all around.
It's okay. I'm pretty sure. Oh yeah, I keep forgetting we can say these things because this will be out after the podcast. So the next single, Earth, is a full-on just power metal ass kicker. So I'm pretty sure the people will come back around.
Nice.
Well, appease the power metal fans.
Yeah,
it's probably the fastest song.
I would call it this album's Apollo. So
all right.
Yeah.
Cool.
So hopefully that'll, please them. I don't know. It don't matter.
Future me will probably like it. Apollo was my favorite track from the debut.
There you go. And here's the thing too. It's funny is reading some reviews and things, and this is just me as a musician, just in general, has nothing really to do with us. But this guy gave us a really, really good review, and it was awesome. He gave us an 8 out of 10, which I'm totally cool with that.
Nice.
And he kept praising it, but then he just had to throw in but it's a small step back from the first album. And here's what I found interesting with that. And this is with anybody. There's this constant need to compare bands' new albums to other albums. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of all right, but is it a good album? Is it a strong, solid album? Does it matter how it stacks up to this album or that? And I just say that with anything. I remember when Eister's Glorious Burden came out and it got a lot of hate. And everyone's saying Schaefer can't riff like he used to. First off, that album has some crazy riffs in it. So you're wrong. But secondly, who cares? If it doesn't stack up to Stormrider, that was in 1992. So it's sort of this thing where, comparing it to the, first off, you compare it to the first album, there's already a major difference. The fact that we now have a male singer. So you're just going to have a bad day all around if you keep trying to compare it to, what we did. And it's, Devin Townsend said it best in one of his interviews. You're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. Cause if you change, people hate you.
No, that is so true.
Yeah.
Bands who change styles, people are oh my God, it's not they're what they used to make.
But then if you
and then if they don't, it's oh, this band can only produce one thing. Blah.
Right? There's just, you can never win. So really you just can't let it get to you, all the time. I don't know.
Yeah, for sure.
Sometimes in the Prime group chat, we'll share comments that we think are funny and, but at the end of the day, I'm whatever, dude, as long as we're happy with it and the fans are happy with it, that's
people are very people are just become experts on the internet,
Well, it's funny, I was talking to my friend Mary Zimmer, and she's saying oh yeah, dude, it's funny. She's I'll be going through my comments and you'll get a comment that's this is the greatest thing I've ever heard, and then the comment directly below it is, this is a piece of shit, so
yeah,
it's just whatever.
That's how it works, unfortunately.
Absolutely. So
it's as if music is subjective.
Yep.
No way.
Although concerning the new album, I think we strike a good balance between keeping the sound of the previous album while adding more progressive elements. Some songs are way heavier than what Helion Prime did on the first album. But yeah, the vocals are a totally new thing. Like it's a new approach, because I mean, there's the smooth melodies of Heather that she did, like harmony and all that stuff. There's still harmony in this one, but it's. I mean, I can't go that high without adding that grit, in the vocals. So it sounds similar in the melodic content, but it's way different in texture. If
It's a
you know
different
what I mean.
delivery. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And
Cool.
and I agree with everything you said, because I think if you listen to songs like Earth, the new single, I think that would have fit right at home on the first album.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
But obviously the first single, Silent Skies, I think is a little heavier. I don't know. Because the first album had You Keep What You Kill, which is a pretty damn heavy song. So
Yeah.
but then like the one we've mentioned a few times here, The Human Condition, that is definitely a step in a new direction. Like that one's, very little more progressive. But see, now that I'm saying that, then that just makes me think of Live and Die on This Day on the first album, which I felt would fit right at home on this album. So really, who fucking knows? Like, people will make up their own mind.
I think it's different enough.
Yeah, it's different enough. But so like, it's still Helion Prime. And touching on the vocal thing, like one thing I bring up a lot, and I'm just gonna keep bringing it up so people can just let it go already. With bringing Sozos on board, because people ask me when we did the open auditions, like, do you think you would, take a male singer for Helion Prime?
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, at first I said no, because we've established ourselves. This is who we are, and the kind of backlash we got, I knew would happen. But the thing is when Sozos auditioned, it was sort of like, here I go stroking his ego again. But it was like, if my only reason for not choosing him is that he's not a female, then I'm not being true to the music,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, I was like, dude, this guy's perfect. So for me to be like, sorry, bro, but you're a dude.
Sorry, bro, but you're a bro.
Yeah.
No, but hugs for Sozos. But anyway, I feel like I always thought your music would have gone well with either male or female vocals.
Yeah, and I think at the end that shouldn't matter, because the fans quote we lost. It's like, all right, so you were Heather fans, not Helion Prime fans.
Yeah.
Like
right. They didn't care about the song.
Yeah, the sex fronting the band shouldn't matter. And I understand, kind of like Sozo said, there is that different and what'd you say, texture,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's the texture.
And so I get it. Like, I'm not saying like, oh, if you don't like it, like, it's fair. If Iced Earth got a female singer, I might be a little off put, but I would still probably be into it,
I would actually be really curious to hear that.
Right? But so I get both sides of it, but at the same time, it's like, dude, let it go, bro.
Yeah, I think vocalist changes are really jarring to a lot of people. People do not deal well with vocalist changes.
They don't. Like, we were laughing about it when we we announced Heather left. It was an uproar. And when we announced our first drummer, Justin, left, no one gave a shit.
I mean, the drummer is really important, but I don't know.
You don't see his face all the time.
Yeah, it's not the face of the band.
Yeah, and I get that. But you got to work with the situation you're given, and it's like,
yeah, for sure. Again,
things worked out the way they did. I'm happy with what we're doing, and I think as long as we can keep doing what we're doing, people, I always look to the future, right? So people are bitching now, but 10 years from now, it'll just be that one album. It won't matter,
Yeah.
So, right now it's a big deal to people because we only have 2 albums out.
Yeah.
But 10 years
once
from now,
all 5 of your albums come out and the 5 after that,
yeah, then hopefully if Sozos is on those 4, and if people still want to bitch, it's like, dude, at this point you have no argument.
It's like, yo, that was like 2016. Get
Right?
over it.
Exactly. So I've gotten very good at being patient, That's what you gotta.
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
What else you got for me?
I have one thing I want to talk about. So, if you feel like talking about this, at the end of the day, we're interviewing Helion Prime today, but you two are like your own people as well, and you do other things.
No way.
Like I know, Jason, you have a couple of projects going around, and so probably has done some other stuff. So, what other creative outlets do you guys have besides Helion Prime?
Well, Sozos is only contracted to be in Helion Prime, so I'm just kidding.
Wow, you are contracted.
Damn.
No, I'm kidding.
Damn.
Oh,
I don't know. I'll let Sozos go first on this one. I know, because I don't know. Sozos, what do you got?
So music wise, I do my own covers. I have a YouTube channel. And I started it like 15 years ago. I don't even know if YouTube existed. No, it's like 10 years ago. I guess.
wow.
I was
You had a
lying.
YouTube channel before YouTube existed.
Yeah,
That's
I was
impressive.
way ahead of the
That's
curve.
hipster as shit.
Right?
Yeah. No. I think about 10 years ago, and I started with guitar covers because I started playing guitar. That was my first foray into music, and after a few of those, I started getting into vocals. My first big inspiration to start doing that was Blind Guardian and Demons and Wizards. So pretty much Hansi.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, and I started doing covers. They sucked like everyone. I sucked like everyone sucks when they start singing power metal without proper training. But I got better, I guess, and
I guess, maybe.
yeah, I like to think that. And yeah, thanks, Jason. Thanks. But yeah, I've been doing my own covers. I try to do whenever possible, like from the ground up, like writing the drums and the guitars and everything for the covers I do. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Like I've got my YouTube channel. I have a band here in Cyprus where like we do classic rock covers and some like System of a Down style covers.
Ooh, that's cool.
Yeah. We do that, like we do live shows. We don't record stuff with that band, but it's what I do here when I want to get that out of the system. When I want to like sing.
I want something like that here, because I get that itch to play, and I always gotta wait.
Yeah. So that's for me, Jason.
Besides Helion Prime, I do Dire Peril with John Yellen from Judicator, and so Dire Peril was actually first, but Helion Prime. So Dire Peril was like the band I started when I didn't know what I was doing. So that was the band I made all the mistakes with. So when I started Helion Prime, I was able to do things the right way. And it shows, right? Like which one kind of went somewhere
That's
quicker.
cool. Yeah.
But John and I have been working on an album together for 3 years. And actually one of the things that held it up was Helion Prime sort of taking off. But now we're about to release that album finally, which I'm excited about, mainly because just, 3 years of hard work, finally seeing it pay off. So, yeah, besides Helion Prime, I do Dire Peril, but that's kind of all I do, and that's all I want to do. I've expressed interest in, joining some local bands around here just to play live, just for fun, but I've really no interest in, like, joining another full-time band because, I'm completely dedicated to Prime and Peril. And so that's pretty much where I'm at as far as full on bands like and Dire Peril, like Helion Prime kind of takes the forefront, obviously, with what we have going on. but I'll always continue to do Dire Apparel. But outside of these two bands, I'm pretty much like, this is where my dedication lies. So, but I'm very heavily dedicated. So, you know,
that's good. It's good to stay focused
exactly
on what you care about. Yeah.
So that would be it for me. Just these two.
Nice.
And then I know, like, you know, talking about with the other members, Alex has his Project Lunar, which is like a progressive band, sort of like Steven Wilson and Opeth.
Nice.
If you haven't heard them and you enjoy prog metal, definitely check them out.
Yeah.
All right.
So,
I'm a fan of Steven Wilson and Opeth. Yeah.
Okay.
That's cool.
Then
I'll check it out.
Lunar. Yeah, check them out.
Lunar.
Yeah,
And then
the album is pretty good.
Do.
Yeah. Chad's got a band, Hissingen, which is sort of I don't know. He may disagree, but they make me think of like The Sword.
Okay.
So I don't know what they'd call themselves. I honestly don't listen to them. So. But and then Jeremy just does Prime. So yeah. But Prime's kind of the main focus for all of us, obviously. Like, we're all trying to take it as far as we possibly can. Like, I'm in it to win it, you know? Like, this is pretty much... This is my lifeblood here. So I'll do whatever to... well, I won't do whatever I have to
whatever
do,
it takes.
Whatever it takes, man. But, yeah. So that's pretty much it.
Cool.
Nice to have different projects.
Yeah. And Dire Apparel's fun. You know, and the way I describe it when people ask me what the difference is, I kind of look at it this way. Helion Prime is more like a Star Trek or something where it's like, you know, yeah, space is fun. Let's go on like a space adventure, you know? And then Dire Apparel is more like Alien, where, oh shit, dude, space is fucking terrifying and we're gonna get killed. So
that is a great contrast.
Like two sides of the same coin.
Exactly. You know, so because obviously both are sort of sci-fi themed, and actually, so with the Dire Apparel album coming out, it's based on all my favorite science fiction films, and I was inspired by like Horror Show from Iced Earth. I always thought that was a cool concept, and then it was funny because you know, when I started the album, I actually wasn't into Arion yet, you know, and Arian Anthony Lucas. And so then I got into him, and I found out with Star One he had already done this, and I was like, oh shit. I was like, well, I already wrote the album, so but we actually got him on the album, by the way.
That's badass.
It is. It's like a dream come true. So he's on a song based on 2001: A Space Odyssey, and then it's funny because Star One has a song based on 2001: A Space Odyssey, so I guess it was just fitting. So that's the thing, is like, one thing I've learned about being in a band as well is don't beat yourself up trying to come up with a genuinely unique concept, because when you think you have one, someone's done it.
Someone's already done it.
Or it is terrible. One of the two.
Yeah, one of the two.
If no one's done it, then it's probably terrible.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that applies to so much in life.
I've had so many times where I'm like, oh dude, this is gonna be awesome. Like, fuck yeah. And then literally it's like almost as if the cosmos are trying to tell you, because like you never hear of it before and you think you have something great, and then as soon as you come up with the idea, you see something somewhere of your idea, and you're just like, well, damn it. So I just, you know,
well, I'm not original.
Yeah. So I stopped. I shouldn't say I stopped trying so hard, but it used to be, if that would happen, I would just scrap the idea completely. But I'm like, you know what? Whatever. Like as soon, you know, and even like if I come up with a riff that I like, and I think like maybe
it sounds the same as or similar to someone else's riff.
Yeah, and even then I stopped caring. Like, if it's a good riff, I'm still going to use it, because the thing is when I've done that and then you release a song, and then next thing you know, someone's like, you sound like this band, a band I've never heard of. Right. So it's like, no matter what, dude,
it's bound to happen.
There's only so many heavy gallop riffs you can do that aren't going to sound.
There's only so many ways you can arrange notes.
It's like if you're playing in a power metal band and you write a power metal riff, it's going to sound like a power metal band that wrote a power metal riff. It's just, you know, you just can't beat yourself up over stuff like that because you're just going to you're gonna have a bad day.
You're just never going to write anything in the end.
Exactly. So like, obviously you don't want to be a full on rip off, like where it's just painfully obvious, but I don't get upset if there's similarities. Like like when I wrote, so speaking of which, now go do this. I wrote Apollo, right?
Yeah.
And then I was listening to Judas at the Opera by Ed Guy. That first few seconds is the same damn chord progression. I'm giving out my secrets here, but
okay. But I gotta play them side by side.
Yeah, but my point is I did not do that on purpose. But if it's no secret, Tobias obviously has a little bit of influence on me if I'm able to name my dog after him.
You're channeling the spirit of Tobias through your dog.
Yeah, so these things kind of just happen, you know, and you just can't beat yourself up over it.
Yeah, you know, you just never know when the spiritual worlds will suddenly be channeled through your companion animals.
You know, but then I've heard Ed Guy songs that remind me of Halloween, and it's no secret he's inspired by Halloween. So it's just, you know, how many Iced Earth harmonies sound like Iron Maiden? It's no secret Schaefer likes Maiden, so
of course
we're just continuing the chain, you know.
Just as long as you're making your thing and you make a new song out of it, it's
like good. You know, I'm not saying on this podcast like go ahead and rip people off. It's fine, you know.
No, it's inspiration. It's different.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just don't beat yourself up if you're like, oh, that sounds similar to this band. Well, of course it does because you're probably inspired by them in some way.
You're fans of that other band. It's fine.
Yeah, that applies in like vocals as well. Like, I'm pretty sure like some of the vocals that we've recorded for this album, in my opinion, they sound fucking awesome. There has to be some band that thought of them first. Like, I cannot be the first one that thought of them. Like, there's only so much harmony that you can do that's not been done before, and I'm pretty sure like that there's so many good vocalists that worked on so many songs. It's pretty hard to be original on that front as well.
Exactly. And actually, John and I were talking about this same thing because, you know, one word I really hate is the word generic. When someone's like, this band's generic, I'm like, why are they generic? And I get it that maybe some can be to an extent, but it's typically when someone doesn't like a song, it's generic. Well, why? You know? And, you know, so I got on this same kind of spiel with John, and we kind of talked about what really does a band need. And it's not so much that we're looking for a band that is unique.
Yeah.
Because that's asking a lot from somebody. But I think a better word to be using is refreshing. Right? Mm-hmm. Like, it's fine if you're not unique, but you need to be a little refreshing, you know?
Yeah, you need to bring something new.
Exactly. But you can still have all these elements that other bands have done, but give it a little refreshingness to it, you know?
Yeah, I think when people say generic, maybe they mean like nothing really stands out in this song. Like they couldn't really pick out a riff or vocal melody that they liked.
And I agree with that.
Maybe the instrumentation is not clear.
So you mean the opposite of catchy?
Doesn't sound good to them? I don't know. Yeah, opposite of catchy, maybe.
Right.
No, I don't use it that way. I use it when like this song could have been from any of a number of bands that I know. That's when I use like the term generic. But I know I know very few songs that fit that role, and it's generic amongst the songs of the band itself. It's very rarely generic as power metal
like
goes.
in general. Generic as a blanket term.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I agree with that. And as I said earlier, I don't claim to be the greatest songwriter. If anything, I feel I'm far from it. Whenever I think I have a cool song, and then someone like Arian puts out a new album, I'm just like, well, I better just go take some more lessons and come back later, you know? So
I think if anyone claims to be the greatest songwriter, I will be skeptical of them. Oh yeah, you can always like do better.
And that's my thing is I'm constantly striving to do better. And that's sort of my thing is I want to always do better and do the best that I can. But then that's the thing is I'm doing the best that I can. You know what I mean? So, you can only do what you're able to do, And so I'm just fortunate that enough people like what I'm able to do that we're able to get where we are. And so hopefully that continues.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is. It's a great feeling. Because again, I listen to guys like Arian and Devin Townsend. I'm like, why bother? But then I remember like, oh, well, some people like us. So that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We like you guys.
Thanks. One of the biggest compliments though, I mean, Arian liked the song enough to do it, right? So I'll take that.
Yeah.
Because that, he even told me that. He's like, well, I need to hear the song first because if I don't like it, I'm not going to do it. I was like, oh, I won't even tell you the pressure that I had there. Like,
fair enough. It's Arian Lucasen is going to judge my song. Oh my goodness.
Dude, I was like, if he says no, I'm going to be so crushed.
You're going to just like cry for a week.
But he said yes, so we're okay.
Okay.
Nice.
Okay, good. No.
Yeah.
Yes.
That'd be like one of the only opinions that would probably affect me. If he's like, you know what, man, I'm gonna pass on this song. I'd be like, well.
Oh my god. Well, there goes my songwriting career.
Time to get into punk.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yes.
So, but yeah, I kind of don't know where we were going with that. I think we resolved that.
It's good. We love tangents, and that was a really interesting tangent.
Good. I'm glad. All right.
Yeah. I think it's another beauty of the podcast format because you get to hear just people that you normally wouldn't talk about random stuff.
Yeah. Well, that's what I said. That's what got me into it. Again, going back to the James Hetfield one, like it actually gave me a lot more respect for James Hetfield. Because I remember a friend of mine works at a coffee shop in the Bay Area, and James is from there, and he went in there once. And like he's James Hetfield, so he's getting like hounded, and everyone was wanting photos, and he kept like saying no, like, and of course, so everyone's turning around on him like he's the asshole because he's like, I'm just trying to get a cup of coffee, Yeah. And they actually talked on that subject in the podcast, and you get to hear his side of view from it because he even said like he loves meeting the fans, and he loves this, but he's like sometimes like. In example, I just want to go to a store and, I'm still a person.
I just want to get my damn coffee. I got shit to do.
And so, it's kind of cool to see this perspective. But another interesting thing with him is he's like 100% self-sustaining. He hunts his own food. He has his own farm. He has his own garden.
Wait, so he hunts in the coffee shop?
Yes. Yes.
Just hunted for coffee beans.
He lives off the grid, Sozos, okay? But on occasion, a dude's still gotta have his Starbucks.
Exactly.
That's the one thing he buys.
Out of all the things you buy, coffee.
But he's got bees, so he's fine.
Yeah.
He's got bees. He probably has a vegetable garden. I want a vegetable garden.
He gets the coffee. He puts his own homemade honey in it, so.
Oh, yeah.
Honey and coffee? Is that a thing?
I don't know. Is it?
It is here.
See?
Is it?
I've heard it before. I don't do that.
It's a Cyprus thing.
No, it's not. It's not. I just heard it before.
Yeah.
Okay.
Who knows? Oh, nope. Never mind.
Nope, JK.
Lost it.
Bye thought.
Yeah. Stella, are you gonna come to the Archer show in San Diego?
Yeah. It's the day after I fly back because I'm going to Chicago for Pumpkins United.
Dude.
I'm gonna be like super dead, but I'll be there.
It's funny.
I'll find you.
That's one of the few things I'm bummed about this tour is I'm not gonna see Pumpkins.
Are you missing
United.
Pumpkins United? Oh my god, their timing was so bad because
right?
we're all West Coast people, and their dates were directly overlapping with Prog Power, which we planned like over a year ago.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so, obviously I got to do the tour, but I'm like,
I
don't get to see Pumpkins United. I'm very sad about that. Yep.
Yeah. Oh man.
Oh, well, hopefully they make like a DVD release of this. I'd be very sad if they don't.
I'm surprised the Pumpkins have been united for over a year now. They've
Yep.
been touring since last year. Darko has seen them. He's going to see them multiple times.
Nice.
They just announced a second date here for some reason. They are playing again in
That
November.
is so funny.
Like, so the tour will be like at least one continuous year for sure.
Wow.
Whoa.
Because they played here in November last year, and they are now playing here in November this year. And with that and the trip, like I could go watch them 4 times in 1 year. But I think it's too much.
Gosh. That's too much. Even for Halloween number
That's
one
too
fan.
much pumpkin.
That's a lot of pumpkin.
Dude.
Yeah.
And they only did one single, man, and they're milking it.
I know.
I can tell you that show, that 3 hours long show is
That's incredible.
amazing.
I can't imagine.
Of just them?
Yeah.
Oh man.
No openers.
Wow.
It's just
Like,
Halloween
we have
material.
We had openers here because the law says you have to have a local opener when you are an international band. But the Halloween
Yeah.
show, it's like clocking almost into 3 hours.
When we saw Avantasia, they did 4 hours. It was amazing.
Oh,
Oh
I missed
yeah,
it.
that's where I randomly found Jason in real life.
Uh-huh.
I was like, nice Helion Prime shirt. And then Jason was like, thanks, that's my band. And I was like, holy shit, I suddenly don't know what to say because I didn't plan this far ahead.
Well, you know what's funny is I'm not one to normally wear my band shirt, but it's like
Yeah.
I was going down to see Avantasia in LA.
Yeah.
I was like-
yeah, I traveled up there too. I was
Yeah.
like, I drove.
So like I'm it was like putting the feeler out there. So I just wore it.
Yeah.
It was funny because I ran into a friend there and he was hella dogging me like, wow, dude, you wore your own shirt, huh? I was like, well, yeah. And then like and that was like right when you came up and you're like, hey, I know that band. I
Yeah.
was like, see, bro?
Yeah, and I was like, people know that band? And I was like, holy shit, that's the guy in the band. And then and I was like, you have a distinctive appearance. I should know how y'all look like, but I don't look up bands how they look like.
It's okay. I don't either. And actually, sometimes I like, I'll feel bad. Like I'll know like core members.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm really bad at like recognizing people too.
Yeah. So I get that completely.
Yeah.
That was a fantastic show though.
It
Dude,
was
Tobias's stage
Monday
banter is just the best.
Oh my
So-
god, they were so adorable. You know who was really adorable in that show though?
Huh.
Yorn.
Oh yeah, Yorn, dude, Yorn and Toby, like they got that bromance.
Oh my god.
banter going on.
They're
Sozos, take
so
notes.
cute.
Yeah, I am. I'm actually like watching the DVDs that Jason actually told me to watch DVDs of Avantasia, and
Dang,
just
Jason works you so hard.
Hey, he
I mean-
asked, okay?
yeah, I'm inexperienced
Slave
in
driver.
that like in that part of performance, so I have to work on it.
Okay.
So it was funny. Before the Vancouver show, we were actually watching an Ed Guy DVD for that reason.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you serious? That's so wow. I guess a lot of thought goes into performance. I never really thought about like stage banter as something you gotta practice.
Oh yeah, like I mean, you think all that spontaneous what he's saying? Like, nah, man,
Yes.
he's thought that. I mean, some of it might be, but you know what the saddest thing was? So I went to Europe last year in September for the Arion Universe show because obviously I'm not missing
Yeah.
that. But I also
Of
got to
course.
see Ed Guy on my birthday
Oh, nice.
in Germany. Yeah, and I was like dude, Toby's stage banner is the best. Like, just wait. And of course, he speaks the whole show in German because we're in Germany. So,
Yeah.
so everyone's laughing, and I'm just standing there like, yeah,
You're like Google Translate.
right. So, man, I felt so bad because there's this whole like
Oh my
moment
gosh.
where he called out a guy on the show because they did Save Me, and he was like the only guy in a Rocket Ride T-shirt. So they were having this moment, and it's just like, God, I'm missing something great right now. Like,
Aw.
I know. So
Yeah, too bad Ed Guy might I don't know if they'll ever come back to the States.
it's been
I missed
it's
them
been
like
over 10 years
back
now.
in over 10 years ago. Yeah.
I've seen them every time they've come since I've been a fan. Yeah, it's been
Yeah.
10 years.
Mm-hmm.
But it just goes to show, like, I feel like that's why we got to get us to Europe because, again, I mean, our labels in Germany, the music we play, our singers now, it's easier for us to get there than it is
Yeah.
for Sozos. Like, we don't got to deal with visas, going there.
For sure.
And like just looking at that Ed Guy show, it was packed, like 400 or 500 people. They come here, they played 130 people.
Yeah.
The Luca Turilli's Rhapsody tour, I don't know if you caught that when they came through.
Yeah.
Like hardly anybody.
It was at a small venue and locally as well.
Yeah, and look how big they are in Europe, right? Like so I don't know, it just makes sense for us to I'm pretty sure I should just move to Europe, I'm thinking.
But we still need musicians and bands in the US. Don't leave us.
Nah, I know.
Just come to Europe with us.
Or come back to visit. Oh, we're gonna just all relocate to Europe.
Yeah.
There you go.
So this is like, yeah, come to me.
Yeah, it's way easier for me.
And even then, just move to Cyprus while you're at it.
Hey, I've seen some photos he shared. It looks beautiful there. So
it is.
Yeah.
The bad thing is that we have like 10 metal fans in total, like from the
10 metal fans in total. That is so funny.
I don't know. I feel like every time I go to a metal concert, they're really rare, and it's like it's the same. I know everyone. Like there's never a new person. There's never a new face. Like I've met all the people that like
all 10 metal fans.
Yeah. Like there's one big power metal band, and like that's it. That's what everyone knows, and when they play once a year and everyone goes and we have fun, but it's just one band and nobody else comes. Like maybe
one band of 10 people.
Yeah, like there's no power metal presence here. There's just
I wonder
one band.
Because Iced Earth did that DVD there, so what was that all about?
Oh yeah, they did that show in Kurion, I think. Which is like an ancient theater in one of the cities.
Did you go to that?
That was
cool.
Yeah. It was great. I enjoyed myself, but this was like the only exception, and I wasn't a big fan of them back then when it happened. I think 2011 maybe. I hadn't gotten into them yet, but
okay.
I liked it, and there were still like the 10 guys that I knew. And maybe a few more people that like were into rock but not metal, but still went because Iced Earth is huge in Europe.
Right.
Yeah, but unfortunately, not many people that are power metal fans here.
Gotta change that. Gotta
We're gonna change that by moving to Cyprus.
Yeah.
Then there'll be like 14.
Can we just bring everyone that likes power metal here? So it's just
we'll create a power metal colony.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go.
So everything can
we'll be self-sustaining vegetable farmers.
What's up with you and vegetables?
If you have vegetables, you can live. Just think about it.
True. Got a point.
Yeah,
don't think too hard.
I guess that's true, but okay, all right.
Don't think too hard.
Right.
Well, guys, I'm gonna say this has been a great talk. We don't want to rob more of your time.
Oh, dude, it's Sunday. I don't do anything. You're good. This was the highlight of my day, just so you know.
Oh, that's so nice.
Yeah.
But there's also like a lot of time left in the day. How do you know?
No.
How do you know something exciting won't happen later?
I guess I don't.
Yeah, maybe you'll get into another podcast.
Oh, surprise podcast.
Joe Rogan
Right?
podcast.
Oh no, I'm down. Yeah. Well,
But yeah.
thanks, guys. I don't
It's
know,
been really
Sozos,
fun.
you got anything?
There's one thing.
Wait. Before that one thing.
Uh-oh.
Where can our fans find you on the internet?
Oh. Facebook, AFM website, iTunes, Amazon, Spotify, YouTube. I'd say for most current news, go to our Facebook or official website, HelionPrimeMetal.com, because Helion Prime was already taken.
Oh.
What? By who? Oh wait, by the
by
Chronicles of Riddick people?
Yeah, by Riddick.
by the original source of your name.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man, I'm pretty sure like people are gonna start thinking I don't do anything other than Riddick because Helion Prime, the first album has "You Keep What You Kill," which is about Riddick.
Yeah.
The first Dire Apparel single was Heart of the Furion. I swear, like, you know, it's funny because I love the Riddick films, but I'm not as big a fan as I'm making myself out to be. Like, I love.
Did you just think they have a cool name or something?
Don't get me wrong. I love the films. And yeah, the name just sort of like, because originally I called the band Furion, which is also a Riddick reference.
Yeah.
But I kind of like, I don't know. The more I thought, I was like, I don't know. That's all right. And then Helion Prime, I was like, oh, that works. That's sick. So I went with that. And then, you know, so we wrote, and actually, we weren't even going to have a Riddick song on the first album. And a friend of mine was like, dude, you better have a song called You Keep What You Kill, or I'm going to be very upset. I was like, oh, you know what, dude? So that the music for what that song became, I had that music. I was like, dang it, dude, I have a song that would be perfect for that. So we did it. And then when I was doing the Dire Apparel album, and each song is based on a science fiction film that I like, obviously Riddick was in there. And then that just happened to turn out to be one of our favorite songs. So, like I said, I make myself out to be a gigantic Riddick fanboy. And I do love the films, but it's definitely, you know, not in my top 3. So.
Whoa.
Oh man, this could be this is like breaking news right there.
Right. I'm crushing people right now.
Yeah.
So. But
okay.
It's in my top 5. All right, I'll give it that. So
it's pretty.
So
good.
either 4th or 5th. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, I'd have to think about it. Because I'd have to think about what is. I'd have to think about what my 3rd is. You know, so.
Oh.
That'll be a next podcast.
Okay.
All right. Anyway,
Jason's top 5 sci-fi films.
Right.
Yeah, that's a hell of a tangent, and we will link all of, well, not all, your most important. I guess where to find you guys in our show notes, so listeners can go find it.
Mm-hmm.
And Darko, do you want to do the thing?
I'm not the one who's going to do the thing. Like, one thing that we're doing in all of our interviews, because now, since this is the 3rd time we're doing it, it's now officially a powerful tradition. We want you, at least one of you guys, to finish the show, to tell all our audiences to stay powerful in your best power metal version of it.
All right. So thank you guys for having us, and stay powerful. Is that too? I don't know.
No, that's perfect. That's fine.
All right. Just, yeah. Okay.
That's another thing with us Helion Prime boys, man. We're a bunch of teddy bears, dude. Like,
Aw.
I know this is about as aggressive as we get. So
That's great.